researched about this particular topic, the whole issue of contentment was really big for me, because I just thought, contentment is, I think contentment is a deeper level of satisfaction, that it's a much deeper level of satisfaction where one is content regardless of what may be going on, regardless of, one has just found contentment within oneself, the ability, and I think that contentment has built some level of resilience in one's mind, that if one thing is going on well for me, it will not necessarily affect my state of happiness. So that's why I really asked that question about happiness, contentment, and satisfaction. Mr. Akintunde Oguyemi, please, what would be your contribution towards that?
Hi. Sorry. So for me, I think First Timothy. I was reading about contentment 2 days ago, and all that came to my mind was First Timothy 6:6-7. But godliness with contentment is great gain, for we brought nothing into this world, and we take nothing out of it. So at the end, what that says to me is, yes, happiness is appreciation of the state of which I am right now, ability to just find that joy. Contentment means is intertwined, as Mrs. I'm sorry, I'm mixing names. As the first speaker said, they are all one in one. I as much as I want to believe that contentment is different from satisfaction, like that maybe that's more deep, but I think it's more about you're happy, you're satisfied with the way things are for now. You're not taking away the joy of, look, things are bad, but there's a brighter future. There is hope, there's faith, there's belief that something new is out there for me. In the midst of the challenges, you're not perturbed. You just have that belief that God is on your side. You cannot you cannot you cannot do more than what you can do. You can only do your best. Once you give in your best, you are happy with that best you've put on the table, and at the same time, you're telling yourself that whatever the results, this thing, I am contented with it. I am okay with the way things are right now. But even though I get more. I'm not losing myself because I have lost at this time. I am believing that there's an opportunity for me to do better in the future. So it's really more like you're taking everything together. I am happy right now. Happiness is that the state I am in, it might not be the best state I want to be, but the way I am right now, I am proud of me. I am proud of where I am. I am at peace with where I am for now, even though I want more. That is a state of satisfaction. Contentment is also saying that, well, I don't have what I want, but where I am right now, I am glad to be there, with the hope that there's something new coming in the future that I will also take a hold of. I like to read I like to read I, li- I like to read a part where TDJ talked about challenging your own story. Stop tormenting yourself about how you see your life or the things you have been through. You wrote the script in the first place, so change the story. No matter what script the life deals with you it is your choice to say, yes, this is the way things are right now. I am not. It doesn't mean that I have to take it, but I am satisfied with it right now because it's a situation. It is not a permanent one, and I can rewrite the script to fit into what I want. Challenge. If your story is good, continue continue with the script, keep the continuity going. If the story is bad, change the script. Always remember the power to be happy, the power to be contented, the power to be satisfied is all yours. So that's just my own point of view. And so far, it has actually helped me. And honest, I'm not going to lie to you. Uneasy lies the hair that wears the crown. At times, we waver. But when we waver, it's important to have comforters, collaborators, accountability partners that you can always go to and tell them that, oh, but they will now remind you of the rules you've set for yourself from the onset, and you work with it. And at the end of the day, like I keep saying, Eureka, you get the best out of things. Thank
Thank you, Mr. Akintunde. Thank you, we appreciate that. Can you give us the title of that T.D. Jakes book? Can you just type it in the chat room where you got that quote from?
I would get the title, but it was one of the little things I downloaded from Steve Harvey's website about the 5 keys to happiness. The 5 keys to happiness. It says, number 1, own your own happiness. Be responsible for doing the things that brings you gladness in your heart. Nobody can make you happy. Your wife cannot make you happy. Your mother cannot make you happy. Nobody around you can ever make you happy. It is a choice. That is why I said it's a state of being. You must tell yourself that at the end of the day, no matter what, you will always find a place to be happy. When it comes to being single, when it comes to being married, even Miles Monroe talks about the importance of being whole, a state of singleness. You've seen yourself as a complete human being. So whoever is coming to share from the joy that you've created, the abundance of happiness that is already existing in you. Let's be more. Let's look at it from a guy asking a girl out. If you don't look confident, if you don't carry a good aura, no lady will find you attractive. That shows that you're not in the state of you're not in that real state that any woman can say, I want to come into your life and take part of that happiness that you're already in, take part of that wholeness which you already have. So challenge your own story. Like I said, stop tormenting yourself by how you see your life or things you have been through. You wrote the script, change your own story. Enjoy the journey, not the destination. Stop delaying your happiness until you achieve a feat. Like Pastor said in the beginning, don't wait until you achieve that. Stop waiting to celebrate when you get to when I have this, I'll be happy. When I have the best of accommodations, I'll be happy. Celebrate all along the way because there's joy in the process. There is joy in the process. Then make relationships count. Make relationships count. Yeah. You understand? Make relationships count. Number 1, the more relationship, your relationship with God, your relationship with friends, your relationship with family. Because as long as you know someone is in charge, you know God is in charge of your life. So definitely your relationship with him should be most important. Enjoy your relationship with yourself. If you're not happy with yourself, then you can't bring if you're not in a happy place, no, like I said earlier, nobody can join you and be happy. You cannot spread love if you don't have love in your heart. So then balance work and play. You don't have to be serious. Life is serious already. You need to put some flair into it. You understand? You need to put some flair into living life. You understand? Find that balance between work and play. Be serious, yes. Play a little too. Like they say, with little effort, add little prayer. So there must be a balance to everything we do as an individual. So that's just what I got from that. I can always share the YouTube message so that we could always learn from it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Oguyemi. We will appreciate if you can put that YouTube link in the chat space, and whoever wants to link up can quickly do that. Pastor Tim, can we get your take on happiness, contentment, satisfaction? Pastor Tim?
Oh yes,
Yes.
sorry. I apologize. I apologize. What else will I say after Mr. Kintunde, Miss, is it Miss or Mrs. Toyin and Sister Rejoice has spoken? I don't know what else to say now. I concur with all the speakers, like I always say. So the relationship between happiness, satisfaction, and contentment. I think that that's too deep a question. But I believe they are all the same. However, I would like for us to look at it, first from the basics. So one of the ways for us to know, I mean, I don't want to relay everything that everybody has said, but the way God even wired us. Let me give a practical example. The way God wired us is that, so for instance, I don't know where the part of the world that you are in. So for instance, if you have a bowl of semovita, I'm trying to paint a picture to someone who has not eaten breakfast today. You had a big bowl of semovita with afang soup. I'm trying to also project Nigeria, you know, dishes. So I'm sure someone is salivating already. Yeah. And you have that big bowl.
Pastor Tim, you're making some of us very hungry. Some of us who don't have access to afang soup.
That's the
Excuse
idea,
me.
actually. That's the
Sorry,
idea.
sorry, what's the sorry? Excuse me. Hello? Hello?
Yes, please.
Sorry, you asked the question. I didn't get.
Oh, no, I was just hailing you. I didn't ask you a question. Okay,
No,
so I was saying that
sorry.
after you have all the big bowl and you finished eating, and there's no space, for you to take in the next maybe wrap of, the food, whether it's the semovita. The way God wired us is that within the next hour or so, you are still going to crave for more food. I don't know if my analogy is making sense. You would, even if you are full to the brim, give it 3 hours, 4 hours maximum, you're still going to, you will become hungry again. And that's what, whether it's happiness, contentment, satisfaction comes in, is that we are wired to continue to ask for more, even though, yes, we are satisfied. That's why I said, remember in the beginning, I said happiness is not just a destination, it's a journey. Okay, so we continue to, there's a desire, there's a protocol, I don't know the right English to use, that makes us to continue to be hungry over and over. Even if you have finished, a big plate of food, you will still be hungry. And so God expects us that from time to time, we would still desire more things, because if we, like I said, if you define or you attach your happiness to something, when you have it, there will be another need. I think it was Bishop T.D. Jakes who also said that. So I'm picking from, Mr. Kintunde. He says new levels comes with new devil. New level comes with new devil. Okay, so when you achieve a level, what happens is that there will be something else that will come after that. And so understanding that will help us to manage our happiness level. I remember that you asked a question, for people to talk about the happiness level. If we tie all our happiness to the things that we acquire or the things that we aspire to get, when we get that, are we still going to be happy? Yes or no? I mean, there's something that I always talk about, the power of the start. There's an excitement that comes with getting married or getting your dream job. For instance, you've been praying to God, I need a job, and then God answered your prayer. He landed you an offer letter from Chevron or Shell or Chase Bank, for instance. 15 months down, in fact, for some people, the first few weeks in the office, when reality dawns on you, can you still sustain the same happiness when you got that letter? Can you still sustain the happiness? What are the things that will help you or help us to sustain our happiness, to sustain the satisfaction, to sustain the contentment, is that we are consistently, we're deliberately wiring ourselves to become hungry. You are creating new pictures. You are creating new visions. We say vision is a picture of a preferable future. So I don't expect individuals, human beings, to be satisfied. I may be wrong, but that's my perspective. You can be satisfied for now, but you need to crave for more satisfaction, because that's the conditioning. There's something in psychology about conditioning and programming. Conditioning and program. So we must condition ourselves in such a way that, yes, there's an achievement or there's a sense of happiness that I've received, but there has to be more. We must continue to create an environment, create a mindset that speaks to getting more and more and more and more. For me, I feel, please someone help me with time. Yeah. One of the things that I feel is also very important, especially talking about, the people that the 3 case studies that we talked about today, is that they must fix their focus. I think Ms. Shoneye spoke to that subject earlier about perspective. Take, for example, someone who is recording in a studio, and then you have 4, 5, 6 cameras, focusing on the person. The truth of the matter is, you that you are watching it on the other side of the divide, you would see the different angles. But does it change the person? No, it's still the same person. So your happiness must not change who you are, but it must help you to see things from different perspectives. So the person who's got a job, a tour guide job, and is just saying, I'm not happy. There are many other people who are praying to God, to have the job that you have. Why not just change your perspective and first thank God? I mean, we've talked about gratitude, we've talked about everything, but when we fix our focus, when we change our perspective about what we're envisaging or trying to get, God blesses that perspective, and before you know it, He answers us, and then we desire again for more. I think I should stop here for now. If there's still other time, I can post. But remember that while we can be satisfied, but satisfaction is not just fixed. It's again a moving target. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for that. I will pick some words from what you have said. You said conditioning, programming, and inner wiring. And that is leading me to my next question. This issue about, some people are conditioned or programmed or wired in a way that sometimes they are not happy. And maybe I need to put it better. In terms of personality, in terms of the temperament that they have, it doesn't necessarily lean towards like this sunshine. We have some people who wake up and they are as bright as the sun. They see a half-filled glass as brimming with possibilities. And you have some other people who look at life through very dark glasses, not because of anything else, but it could be their inner wiring, it could be their programming. And I'd like Mrs. Toyin Shoneye, as a counselor, what would she have to say towards that? Because you see, we all want to have a good quality of life. And there are many things that contribute to achieving that good quality of life. And that is a healthy soul. Because happiness, the issues around happiness is about, our soul, the state of our soul. And we need to pay attention to our soul. So if we have people who are not maybe naturally wired to look at things from the bright side of life, what do we have to say to that? Mrs. Toyin Shoneye, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so you have people that are not looking at things from the bright side of life. Then that means the starting point is to help them understand who they are And understanding who you are starts from self-love. The truth is, look, if you don't understand what self-love is, you're going to miss many things about life. And self-love is about self-identity. It's about, self-knowledge. It's about self-discovery, knowing who you are, knowing your values and understanding them, knowing your purpose, knowing what your life is all about. What do you want from life? Understanding your temperaments, understanding your love language. By the time you understand all of this, okay, so that means it then makes me a person on a mission. I know where I'm going. I know what I want to do. Will I have stumbling blocks along my path? Absolutely, because I don't think you'd have one person in this world that would say, look, everything I want, I get as I want it. Then that person has become a magician. Okay, so, but when you understand yourself, you understand how you respond to situations. When you know where you're going, when roadblocks come your way, because, you have a focus. And what focus will do for you will be that you are able to think positivity. Okay, I'm going to maybe Ibadan. And then as I approach from this toll gate end of Lagos, approaching the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, there's a roadblock. Because I know I'm going to Ibadan, nobody can tell me, oh, go to Ajangbadi. I know that Ajangbadi, that route is not going to take me to Ibadan. Then I begin to, if I can opt to use Google Maps because I am certain I know where I'm going to, then I begin to navigate and say, okay, there is another route via Ikorodu or somewhere that can take me to Ibadan. And that's what self-knowledge does. If you understand yourself, you will not be confused. And then the other thing that would also help is the power of self-concept. How do you see yourself? See, there's an adage that says, if you don't say I am, nobody is going to say thou art. If you don't sing your song, nobody is going to sing your song for you. But honestly, even if you find a human being that you say this person is a fool, but the person keeps saying, look, I'm full of knowledge, I'm full of wisdom. At some point in time, you begin to look deeply at that person and say, there must be something in this person that is making him or her say, and then you begin to say, this person is full of wisdom, this person is full of knowledge. The power of self-concept is powerful. And let's take an example of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ said, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the light, meaning it is certain, it is non-negotiable, it is not in doubt. That is who I am. And that is what everybody is going to accept. And that also takes me to one other thing that's also powerful that I think people can use on a daily basis, and that's the power of affirmations, okay? Affirmations can take you through the darkest season of your life. So every day in the morning, you charge up your spirit, you charge up your emotion, you charge up yourself, and you look at yourself in the mirror, or even if you're just lying down on your bed and you wake up and you say, look, I am beautiful, I'm blessed, I'm powerful, I'm helpful, I'm sought after, I'm dependable, I'm loved, I'm forgiving, I'm wise, I'm creative, I'm innovative. So by the time you say that to yourself repeatedly, you see yourself in that perspective, you see yourself in that light. And the power of thought, the things that we think about become our words, the things that we say become our actions, and those things become our habits. So in a short while, you realize that you actually see yourself as strong. You see yourself as helpful. So you look for opportunities to help people. You see yourself as wise because you're calling yourself wise. That's who you become, because there's the power in the tongue. So what you call yourself is what you'll become. So if you have somebody who doesn't understand what their life is all about, you need to help them understand, self-love. Let them know who they are, the concept of self, and a healthy self-esteem. And I always tell people in the place of counseling that, look, work on your self-esteem. Your self-esteem, will determine your self-worth, will determine, the values you place on yourself, and will determine a lot of things, will determine your perceptions about life. And if you find people who have healthy self-esteem, you'll realize that they always have thriving relationships, because they always look for the positives in situations when they see people, even that when that person is not what they should be, You know, they look for the best in that person and help them bring out their best. Even when they look at situations and everything is looking chaotic, they understand that, look, if you follow that chaotic path, you're not going to make anything meaningful out of it. So in the midst of this chaos, in the midst of this storm, let's look for something positive. It could just be a small ray of light. And when you focus on that, you realize that that begins to make everything fall in place. You know, self-esteem is important. Self-esteem is needful. Self-esteem is powerful. I could go on and on and on and on, but so that I give the other speakers the opportunity to also share their perspective. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Shone. You know, I asked that question because it's important to me. I fall into the spectrum of, and I don't know, a number of us may have read the book by the LaHaye's, the book about temperaments. So I fall in that spectrum of the melancholic, you know, where the melancholic and the choleric, but the melancholic is a bit stronger. And so for a long while, and probably up to, let's say, 20 years ago, I'm the kind of person that honestly, the sun only begins to shine within me, maybe around, from the time I wake up, the sun only probably begins to shine maybe 3 hours after. You would find me somebody who wakes up with basically a thunderstorm around my head. It wasn't something that was intentional, but it was I found it was just the temperament I realized I had. I just found myself like that. I would tend to see things from, the worst has happened, you know, even if there is a possibility that everything has not exactly gone up in flames, but in my mind, it's all over. And trust me, I had a healthy self-esteem. I'm confident and I had everything going for me, but I just found myself, I wasn't exactly, in light of what we're speaking about, I wouldn't say I was very happy inside of me. So, but I started paying attention to my thoughts. I started paying attention to, Mrs. Shone spoke about affirmations, conversations I had with myself consciously, that if I'm presented with a situation, the automatic thing that melancholic personality will veer to is the worst has happened. But I will, as in practically veer myself back to possibilities and positive. So it was a conscious effort on my part to think that, to work on my thought processes. When I see people, I consciously begin to look for the amazing things, about them. Because in affirming those people, I found out that I also, on my insides, I was happier, I was lighter. And with time, the thunderstorms that used to be around, my head eventually gave way to bright sunlight. I can say I wake up now and I can wake up with a smile. Before, no, it would take me 3 hours for me to actually even smile. Or, before I would wake up and see someone smiling and say, what's wrong with you? What's making you smile? When there's actually nothing wrong. So, and that's why I asked that important question is about, are some people just wired, to be happy? Are some people wired not to be happy? But with what Mrs. Shone has said, I think, and with what I have, so some practical things that I have done also in my life to work on my own levels of happiness is, it is doable. You might not be wired as it were, but with conscious work, you find yourself, you can wire yourself, to the way that you would like yourself to be. And I think that's where the whole issue of self-love, self-identity, self-concept, self-discovery, I totally agree with that. I'm going to open the floor because we have 30 minutes left before I ask any of our panelists to make any further contributions. I would like to hear from our guests who have joined us this morning. You're welcome, Lady D. I think that's the only person I haven't welcomed formally. Thank you for joining us this morning. So please, the floor is open. Can we have questions, comments, contributions from any of our guests this morning. Thank you. Aderonke, would you like to open the floor?
Okay. Oh, well, there is a question actually that I shared with you. So someone actually asked question. Yeah. So why
Sorry, about that question about should the ladies compare the situations? Our panelists actually mentioned that about I think it was Mr. Kitunde Obiemi who was talking about the issue of gratitude, and that there's no need for you to compare, you know, your situation to look at what someone has and what you don't have, and on that basis, you know, judge your own happiness. They have spoken, I think, quite well about that. Unless the person who joined maybe joined later after that was dealt with. But the question is, should any of the ladies have to compare their situation? Because comparison has a way to steal one's happiness, and there's a need to guard against it. So we would like to hear from you what your perspective is. I'm throwing that question to the floor.
Okay. Okay. Nobody is speaking in that regard. Okay, well.
Sorry, what regard? Is it?
So, there's a question that says, should any of the ladies have to compare their situations? And we can even apply that generally. Should we have to compare our situations, you know, with other people? Because comparison has a way to steal one's happiness, and there is a need to guard against that. So it would be nice to hear our perspectives on that. That's the question and comment that has been put up.
Okay, well, I don't have an answer to that. I will leave the answer to our panelists to answer. However, I have a question. And my question is, so I'm gonna speak for the singles who have not been married before, and I'm going to be speaking also for the single parents. So, you know, in the process of waiting, I know Jisade Remy mentioned, you know, what she, you know, her perception before she got married, expectations, and when she got married, you know, things, you know, expectation versus what she, versus reality seems to be as in on a very different scale. So what is your advice? Because when we're talking about waiting, it is easy for us to say, just wait on God. God is, he will come and all of that. God is coming. And also look at a wife, like, you know, the story we read, who is waiting. It is easy for us to tell us about story of Sarah in the Bible, and yeah, when God came through. But the reality, because this is flesh and blood, I don't know what was actually running in their own vein those years though, but this one,
still flesh and blood.
It was still flesh and blood. Okay, all right. But this is the word of technology. So we see a whole lot of things. I don't think Sarah got to see, you know, this part of the word. And so how do we encourage us in that waiting season, knowing fully well, you know, we have friends around me. I don't go to weddings, oh, honestly. I don't go. If you invite me, I will not go. Right from I don't attend weddings, because for me, I perceive it in a way. No, I don't do that. So how do you encourage someone who is waiting on the Lord for, you know, And recently, you know, I had a conversation, and I didn't know how, you know, what it's like to wait as a wife, you know, for the fruit of the womb. I didn't know how that seems, right? And I wanted to speak to that, because it's easy for us to say that, you know, just keep waiting, keep waiting. But while waiting, what do you really encourage us to keep engaging ourselves in? Have time, even when we get to that mood, because moody comes in, and, you know, what can we do realistically speaking? Because I love reality. I don't want, please, I want realists to actually speak to this. Don't quote Bible. I know it. I know what God is saying. I got it, right? But this is man to man, woman to woman talking. Please, I need. What can you tell me? I'm waiting.
Okay, Sister Joyce, just 1 minute. I know we both waited together. It's not only your wait. but just speaking to the first question, yeah, that should they I think compare each other's story. I think for me, it will speak to this. What's the motive behind the discussion? I feel it's just about if the motive is to encourage one another to pray together if they are Christians, or to because they may just be, just like if you put an object at a point and you put a camera. In fact, let me use music. I mean, there's music behind me, so I'm in church trying to set up for service tomorrow. Yeah, if you give 5 artists or musician, a keyboard player, one song, the truth played in a different way. All right, and that speaks to different perspectives. So you may just be linear in your approach to the things. That's each of those ladies. But maybe just speaking to them, they help to shift our perspective to look at things differently. So if that's the only reason they're having that conversation, I think it's important for them to talk about, how what they're experiencing and how they're shaping each other to become better. And in fact, looking at that, they are also talking about perspective. There are other also human beings that are going through that kind of situation alone. The fact that you have friends that you can share your struggles with is part of the healing process. Like my pastor would say, revealing my feeling is the beginning of healing. The fact that you have someone to share what you are going through with is just one step from resolving the issue. So if they see that I have people, I'm not doing life alone. I'm going to again share one of his quotes. He says, "We are created for connection, not isolation." So the fact that you understand that you are not alone. Yes, you may be experiencing it alone, but there are other people around you. It gives you strength to push ahead, to wait, maybe taking that to the next step. Your next question is that, what do you do while you are waiting? It is more fruitful. It is more enjoyable when you are not the only one waiting. When you have other people waiting for you, waiting with you rather. And while you are waiting, you must understand yourself. You must seek to understand what is happening. What are the intricacies? What are the things that you need to learn from the waiting? God is not a waster of his resources. Can I say that again? God is not a waster of his resources. The fact that you are wasting is a resource, and God does not want you to waste it. So understanding the reason, the essence for that waiting will help you to navigate effectively, so that when other people, if you fail to understand the reason of that waiting, when God sends somebody who is going through the same thing to you, you may not be able to minister to such people. That's why, Jesus said to Peter, he said, Peter, I've prayed for you that your faith will not fail. He said, after you have been converted, after you now have the baby, because you have gone through it, he says, strengthen your brethren. So understanding the reason you are in that situation, you are in that waiting period, will give you enough energy, enough resource to bless other people. If you are waiting, what you also need to do is not to hold, is to tight your hand. You must also keep walking. If I can just quickly say this, and I will hand over to Mrs. Aderemi. While we were waiting, two things happened for us. Like I said, communication. You have to communicate with God, communicate with relevant stakeholders. So if it's about being single, communicate with God, communicate with yourself that yes, this is not the best of me. The best of me is never in the past, but it's in the future. Communicate with family members, communicate with friends who may likely put you in unnecessary pressure. When you communicate the future to them, they will pray with you, they will empathize, they will give you the right resource. When you communicate, you also need to take action. There was something that we did, maybe personally, that I did, that which I also communicated with my wife. I remember a particular year, when service in Daystar Christian Center, and Reverend Sam was just preaching. Again, while you are waiting, maximize every moment that you have. Maximize every moment that you have. He was just preaching about the. In fact, I remember it was in November that particular year, and he was just talking about the vision of the church, and he said God can give you. He was talking about the power of imagination, and when he talked about that, and he said, "Have you even imagined what you are believing God for? Have you ever imagined it?" And it dawned on me that we've been talking about we're going to have a baby. We're going to have a baby. I've never imagined, my wife being pregnant, but we're talking about it. He said, power of imagination. He said it's free. He said, and he was telling us, said, I go to America every now and then without visa, and everybody was stunned. He said, I travel in my mind. And he said, it's a very cheap resource. You don't have to pay for it to imagine. And he said, just imagine. And that day, for the first time, I imagined my wife, from first semester, trimester, to second, to third. I imagine her in the hospital, delivering. And it was a tough walk. So if somebody is in waiting, when you are waiting, you should not just, go to sleep. It's a time for you to walk. You walk with your imagination. It works, And after I imagine, let me tell you the other practical thing that I did, or that we did, was that I went to the bookshop and I bought a book on what to expect when you are expecting. Secondly, I bought another book about parenting. The third thing that I did, which was very, you can say, oh, is a pastor. I wasn't even a pastor at the time. I was just a boy of God, that's just all over the place, The third thing that I did that was very prophetic. Again, I'm a Christian, I'm a pastor, but I wasn't a pastor at the time. I went to the bank. Interestingly, at the time, it was when we started the bank. I used to work in the bank. The bank started Smart Kids Save account for children. Guess what? I picked up the account opening form. I filled the form. So, because I wasn't too sure of what I was doing, I wrote 2 names. My wife can bear me witness. I still have that card till tomorrow. I filled the names that we prayed for, Samuel and Esther. I said, whichever one God gives us. I filled the form, I signed, and I made her to sign the form. And I drew the picture. We didn't have passports. I drew the way we used to draw back in the days, a picture of a boy. And again, I drew it on that card, like signature card. I wrote the initials. and I kept it. And the last thing was that we did what a man and a woman would do. God will interpret what I just said to you in the name of Jesus. Okay? While we were doing it, God showed up for us. And today is no longer, we're no longer waiting for the first son. The second one, we have started the process. Okay? I will hand over the rest for my wife to proceed in the discussion. Thank you for the for listening. So, sister, over to you. But you can say the doing part too.
Sorry. Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so waiting is not easy when you're waiting. It's
Can we still hear Mrs. Aderemi?
second speaker said something about for the single ladies that if you're single, how are you showing up? Are you showing up as someone that is single and available? Or you're just showing up and saying, you're shouting, I am single, and yet your looks is not looking as if you're available, you know? So that was the same thing, you know, that I did. I ensure that I am waiting and I am showing up that, okay, I am waiting and I am expecting. I was very intentional about all of the things I did. I know there were scriptures that were holding me at that time, even still now. This scripture that says, in his time, he made all things beautiful. Then that scripture had helped me, that most times when I hear of other things, other options that they'll say, why not try this? Why not? I said, no, in God's time. Even when my mom come and say, oh, let's go to this native, I said, no, mommy, in God's time, you know. So there are scriptures that helped me at that period. You know, those scriptures have been solid rocks for me, that each time I listen to those scriptures, it helped me and it helped my faith to grow more. Then words of affirmation. I keep on telling myself, I know I can get pregnant. I know whatever the doctors are saying they're all just saying it. I know I can get pregnant in spite of all the medical conditions, the medical tests, all of the tests I had to do, hormonal imbalance and stuff like that. You know, I just told myself, God has created me perfectly well. I am perfect. I am beautiful. I can get pregnant. You know, people that get pregnant are not different from me. If God can do it for them, yes, I can. So I use words of affirmation to help myself to grow to that get to that place, you know, as I was waiting. Another thing that worked for me was I read books. I read books about faith. I read books about women that had waited. Those things also helped me as well. Another thing I did was I went for baby showers. A lot of baby showers I attended. In fact, then we'll take balloons and put in our tummies, and we'll be describing ourselves as pregnant women. We'll be singing and dancing, you know, just seeing ourselves, the power of imagination. Imagine that, oh, I am pregnant, I am going through all of all the seasons of that pregnancies, you know. That also helped me. Then I didn't stop at that. You know, we're seeing fertility doctors, we're getting tests done, we're doing all of the other things that we need to do, you know, while we're waiting. So for the single ladies, you know, how many weddings have you attended? You know, are you happy with them? Because these things doesn't just come, you know, when you are happy for others, it comes to you as well. So I know you said you don't attend weddings. Please start attending weddings. Just be happy for that person. And you never can tell where your spouse will be or where your spouse will come from. You never know if that spouse can come from that wedding, you know, or you never know if the doctor, you know, the person you are speaking to about that particular thing, you know, can be the solution to that your problem. So I was very vulnerable. Yes, that's another thing. I was very vulnerable. I speak to people that that are a bit close to me. I have accountability partner. When it knocks, when it's so strong, I have people to call and say, this is how I am feeling. This is what is happening to me right now. I ensure everybody around me is positive. Whatever negative vibes I have, I take myself away. I try to be in that place of positivity. Not that negative thought doesn't come. Yes, they come, but I try to be positive and be intentional about the things I want for myself, the things I want to do. I intentional try to be happy at all times. As she said, she is a melancholy. I am that kind of person as well. But I tell myself, I am happy. So I play music, I dance, I do things I want to do. I don't dwell in whatever medical condition or whatever state of mind or seeing my mates. Then I could remember my husband's siblings they also got married at that time. They all gave birth. My friends, they gave birth. But I never dwell. I never dwell there. I never start thinking or trying to compare myself and say, oh, hey, we got married at the same time. Or this person had gotten pregnant. No, I just told myself it is me and me alone and me and God. So I focus. While I'm happy with them, I still focus and say, this is where I am going to, and I know God is going to do it for me. So I think being at that place where you're waiting, focus, show up as that person that wants a solution of, that particular problem you're having. Like the single ladies, how do you dress? How do you show up? Do you dress neatly? Do you smell nice? Some of those little things are very important. Do you smell nice? When you go out, how do you carry yourself? Men are looking at some of these things, so show yourself, show up ready and prepared, so that when a spouse comes, he knows that you are ready, for that marriage. Thank you.